President Trump just made a huge move for the recovery of our country through an express form of stimulus package. This is fascinating. He signed an executive order addressing 4 issues he felt should have already been solved by Congress, but unfortunately weren't. So he kind of took things into his own hands. So in this video, I'm going to go over what the president signed into law through his executive orders, what this means for the stimulus package as a whole, how his executive orders are likely to work, and some potential issues brought up about these orders. So buckle in because this is going to be an interesting one. And before we dive in, I'd like to point out that I'm currently recording this video at 12:15 a.m. on a Saturday, so I can have it ready and post it in the morning for all of you fine folk to keep you all updated. So make sure to hit that like button if you appreciate my dedication to the cause. Also, now I finally have an excuse if I trip over my words or if my eyes are bloodshot. It's been a long day. All right, so let's break down all these orders one by one. The first executive order creates a payroll tax deferral program with the potential for it to be forgiven eventually. This one is a bit tricky. President Trump has been a vocal supporter of a payroll tax holiday for months, citing that it would create an incentive to get people back to work and would also work as a small stimulus for employees and businesses as they would save taxes that normally go to Social Security and Medicare. So just for some context, a payroll tax cut would work as a stimulus for employees and employers because those people would each save 7.65% of all wages either paid out or earned that typically go to the federal government for those Social Security and Medicare programs. A payroll tax cut on both sides would save the average U.S. worker about $375 per month, and then employers would save that same $375 per month for each of its employees on average for the average working American. And then self-employed individuals would save around $750 per month on average, again in payroll taxes. This executive order isn't exactly a tax cut though, at least not yet. It's a deferral with the possibility of forgiveness in the future. So I want to be really specific about this because you might see other people kind of exaggerating what this means. They're two very different things. So kind of here's the truth. Here's how this would work under this order. Employers will be able to defer the payment of employee side payroll taxes through the end of 2020. For Americans who earn less than $4,000 per bi-weekly paycheck, or about employees who earn just under $100,000 per year. The executive order then goes on to direct the Treasury to explore all avenues, including legislation, to eliminate the obligation to pay back the payroll taxes that are deferred through the end of the year. But it doesn't say that it is definitely going to be deferred. It just says to explore the options. I read through all these executive orders. There's about 20 pages in total. There's nothing that says it will happen for sure. And then on this topic, President Trump said publicly that if he wins the election in November, that he hopes to forgive the payroll taxes permanently. This is the exact quote from him. "If I win, I may extend and terminate." In other words, I'll extend it beyond the end of the year and terminate the tax. Did he legally just buy some votes from all of us? Anyways, this payroll tax deferral has brought up countless issues, and I would recommend any employers considering this option to not spend the money that is deferred until after is actually proven and in law that it will be forgivable. It feels to me like it's kind of a long shot that these taxes will actually be forgiven due to the overwhelming lack of support for a payroll tax holiday from both Democrats and Republicans in the past few months. So just be extremely careful with this if you are an employer and considering taking up on the deferral program. Moving on from here, the second executive order provides assistance to renters and homeowners. The CARES Act originally imposed 2 things on this topic. It suspended foreclosures for federally backed mortgages for 60 days, which was then later extended to August 31st, 2020, so it's set to expire kind of soon. And it placed a moratorium on evictions for renters, which is currently expired and has been for a couple weeks. The Trump administration said they recognize that people losing their homes may directly increase the number of virus cases, citing that homeless shelters have been proven to be especially susceptible to virus outbreaks. What is curious about this executive order is it doesn't explicitly halt eviction for renters, though. It instead calls upon the Secretary of Treasury and the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development to allocate any available federal funding towards financial assistance to renters and to homeowners who are in a financially difficult spot due to the pandemic specifically. So there are unfortunately very little specifics regarding how the funds would be administered, nor what kind of funding is actually available for something like this. It's just kind of like, see if you can find funding and do something about this. So are we talking about rent assistance? Are we talking about cancellation of rent and mortgage, landlord assistance? We just don't know yet. So I'm going to keep an eye on this and what actions are actually made, and hopefully I can report back on this topic later on this week. Then moving on from here, the third executive order defers student loan payments. So back in March again, the CARES Act paused student loan payments and set interest rates to 0 temporarily on those loans. Originally, this was set to last 60 days, but then was later extended to September 30th, 2020. The executive order signed by President Trump extends the deferral of payments and interest through December 31st, 2020. This order also indicates that anyone wishing to continue making loan payments should be allowed to. And this could be an awesome opportunity for anyone who does have stable income right now, stable enough to at least pay down their loans and not have to worry about that money going towards other things, because you can pay them down more quickly than normal if there's no interest on your payments. I would definitely take advantage of this if you have an emergency fund just in case right now, because there's a lot of uncertainty, and stable earnings. Otherwise, I would maybe consider just deferring your payments if things are a little bit shaky still. Finally, the last and biggest executive order, extending enhanced unemployment, which expired 2 weeks ago. This has been a huge source of the issues and debate Congress has had over the next stimulus bill. It's been a driving factor why we don't have a stimulus bill from Congress right now. Democrats wanted to extend unemployment at $600 per week like we were doing, while most Republicans wanted some form of benefit based on a worker's previous pay, like a percentage of a worker's previous pay. They were aiming anywhere between 66% and 100% of workers' previous pay. Well, Trump said, enough of your bickering, $400 per week, signed, done. Well, it's not exactly that simple, so let's go over all the details. Payments are set to continue at $400 per week, flat rate. However, states are required to pay 25% of the bill. And here's how the president figures states will pay for this. So states received $150 billion in funding under the CARES Act, and according to the Treasury Inspector General, $80 billion of that funding is still available and unspent so far. So states are to use some of that $80 billion and then some of the $70 billion available from the Homeland Security's Disaster Relief Fund to help pay for their 25% share. It was suggested that this plan is really going to irk and annoy some state governors, to which Trump said plainly, that's going to be their problem. I guess that's one way to address it. This executive order is the area that has undoubtedly received the most heat, including questions whether it's even legal for him to do this. Trump was asked about the legal challenges of this, to which he casually responded, I mean, everything you do, you get sued. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll probably get sued, but people feel that we can do it. I mean, you kind of got to applaud the guts it takes to do something so disruptive. However, with something this disruptive comes questions of how it will even happen and if it will even happen. There are concerns that this executive order could actually take longer to get people money than it would for Congress to still reconvene, negotiate a bill, vote on a bill, and approve funding. This is because states can actually only administer benefits defined under the Social Security Act or by Congress, and benefits implemented as an order by the president aren't approved by the Employment and Training Administration. It's ridiculously complicated. Basically, in order to allow funding via an executive order, states would need to set up an entirely new system to pay out benefits. State unemployment office's opinion on this, on how long or how hard it would be to do something like this, range anywhere from it's going to be pretty difficult to this is going to be impossible to do. So what happens next is still somewhat up in the air, but I'm personally glad to see just some form of action. I'd rather see a plan in place that needs a little bit of fixing than no plan at all. And I'm going to make sure to keep all of you updated with anything that comes about with these executive orders, so make sure you're subscribed and you hit the notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with all of these crazy things that are going on right now in our country. Also, check out the link in my description for Webull. If you make an account and deposit $100 into your account, you will receive 2 stocks completely free. They can be valued anywhere from $12 to $1,400. I made an account and got like 30 bucks worth of free stocks. It took me 5 minutes. It's a pretty good deal, and you actually don't even have to spend the $100 that you deposit into your account. Anyways, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.